Hey, what's up everybody? This is Flashback Toys and Collectibles, and today I want to share with you a bunch of retro toys I recently picked up from the 80s and 90s, and I got these at a retro toy shop called 5280's, and this is located just outside of downtown Denver. This is a really cool retro toy store that's got all kinds of retro toys, games, and more. So if you get a chance to check these guys out, I highly recommend them. So first, let's start off with this guy here. This guy's name is Too Bad. He's a double-headed figure from the Masters of the Universe toy line from the 80s, and I believe this guy was released in 1985. So I purchased this guy for right around $6. I think the tag says $9, but they did give me a discount for this figure and a lot of the other items that I purchased there. So this is a pretty cool looking figure. This is a double-headed monster. And you can see it's kind of separated right down the middle of the torso here with the purple and blue. And then the arms are spring-loaded. You can pull it back for a power punch. And this arm is supposed to do the same thing, but that spring feature is not working. The heads can swivel. And then the waist can swivel as well. And there is a spring feature in the waist, so I can turn them this way and let go for a power punch. And then the legs have a little bit of movement to them as well. There is a rubber band that connects the two legs together. What I really like about this figure is he's basically split right down the middle. You can see that the legs are different. And same thing with the arms and the heads. Okay, next up is a DC Comics Hercules figure manufactured by Remco in 1982. And this guy looks very similar to the Masters of the Universe characters. Here is He-Man from 1982. And you can see they got a lot of similar features as far as the size of their muscles and the shape of the body. So I purchased this guy for right around $14. There's a look at his head. And for an outfit, he has some gold string that wraps around his body. And then it ties in the back here. He's got the yellow band going around his head. And he's got some red and yellow armor on his wrists. Then he has white shorts and white belt and red boots. And it looks like the legs are on some sort of plastic ball joint. So they got some pretty good mobility to them. And then he can also pivot at the waist here. And then the arms can move at the top of the shoulder here. And then the head can also swivel back and forth. And I believe this guy is about the same height as the Masters of the Universe figures, which are 5.5 inches tall. So the overall quality of this figure does not feel quite as solid as the Masters of the Universe figures, but it still feels pretty decent. Next up is John Blackstar from the Blackstar Filmation cartoon, which was actually released before the Masters of the Universe cartoon, which was also made by Filmation. But as far as the toy line goes, this guy was introduced in 1983, and the original He-Man was released in 1982. So this guy was manufactured by Mattel, and the Blackstar figures were manufactured by Galoob. So let's take a closer look at this guy. He's got some cool black hair with quite a bit of detail on the face. Some built-in armor here that's gold that wraps around to the back on the neck here. He's got some armor on the wrist here that's also gold. He's got a belt with a gold buckle, brown shorts, and brown boots. And I believe I got this guy for $14. For the articulation, he can turn at the neck, at the top of the arms. The waist does not move. And then the legs have some mobility at the top. And it looks like there's an elastic band that ties the two legs together. Overall, this figure does look pretty similar to the Masters of the Universe figures. However, the proportions are a little bit smaller. The muscles, I would say, are not quite as big as the Masters of the Universe figures. Okay, next up is Jitsu. So this is another Masters of the Universe toy from the 80s. I believe this guy was released in 1984. So this guy is wearing some custom armor. The armor that would have came with him looks similar, but not quite like this. Let's check out the articulation on this guy. His head can swivel back and forth. His arms can move up and down. He pivots at the waist with that spring action. And then there's some movement at the top of the legs. And also, I believe his arm is spring-loaded as well. You can pull back his arm and let go. And I believe I purchased this guy for right around $9. Again, the tag says $12, but they did give me a discount. Next up is Demolition Man. So what's really cool about this figure is the likeness with Sylvester Stallone. It looks just like him. So he's wearing a gray San Angeles Police Department shirt, along with some black pants and black boots. So as far as the articulation goes with this guy, his head can pivot back and forth. His arms can turn at the top. The waist does not have any movement, but the legs can move forward, and I guess that's it. They can't move back. Now, one thing I'm noticing with this figure is it seems to be very similar to another figure I have. And let me grab that real fast. So here is another action figure that I picked up from the same toy store. This is from the last action hero movie, and this is Jack Slater. And what's interesting about this figure is it has a lot of similarities with this figure. So there is a stamp on this figure that says 1993, and same thing with this guy. And I know this figure was manufactured by Mattel, and I'm gonna assume this was manufactured by Mattel as well, because it has a lot of the same features. If you look at the hands, they both have those square holes. And also the articulation seems to be the exact same. It pivots at the neck, the shoulders, and even the legs move the same way. They can go forward, but not back. Now look how cool these guys look together. You can definitely tell this is Sly, and this is Arnie. Next up is another Blackstar figure. This guy's name is CAD Ray, and he was released in 1983. And I purchased this guy for right around $12. Let's take a closer look. He's got kind of a goofy looking face with some built-in black armor and a missile that's also glued to his body. And it looks like he had something else that used to be glued on this side of his body, but that's missing. Then he has a silver belt and orange shorts. The skin tone on this guy is kind of a light purple with darker purple gloves and boots. For the articulation, he can pivot at the neck, the arm, can move back and forth, but it cannot go all the way around there. Same thing on this side. And these legs are also attached with an elastic band that ties the two legs together. On the back of both of these figures is a stamp that says 1983 Filmation Association, and that's because the cartoon was made by Filmation, but the toys were manufactured by Galoob. Next up is a Power Lords toy figure. This was manufactured by the Revell toy company, and this guy's name is Adam Power, leader of the Lords. And what's really cool about this figure is it's a double-sided figure. So if you look at him from this direction, he's one dude, and if you turn him around, he becomes another guy. So if you take a close look at this hand here, you can see that he has two thumbs, and that's so that if you turn the figure either direction, it doesn't look like that hand's backwards, it just looks like a weird hand. And then if you take a look at the head, you can see where it splits into two different faces right down the middle here. We got the blue dude and the yellow dude. Let's check out the articulation with this guy. So the head can swivel around. It can also turn at the waist. And there's also a button right here that can lock it in position when you turn it. So if I push this button, that's going to make him swing back the other direction. That's pretty neat. The arms can swivel at the top, then at the shoulder, and also at the elbow. Then the legs can move back and forth. And there's also a joint at the knee and the ankle. So there's a few different combinations you can make with this guy. You can have him with a blue top torso and a yellow face, or you can have the blue face with the blue torso, or you can have him all orange with a blue face or a yellow face. And I thought maybe that you can mix up the arms with the torso, but it doesn't look like it pivots down. So this is a very cool figure with some pretty unique features. Okay, next up I got a couple California Raisins. This is Benny. You can see he's holding a bowling ball. He's got his bowling shirt on. Raisin your average. And I believe these guys were made in the late 90s or early 2000s. And what these are remakes of some of the 1980s figures. So I got one more here. This guy's name is Buster, and he's getting ready to go hit the half pipe with his skateboard. He's got that yellow and orange board. And then he's got a cool flat top. And last up, I got a bunch of trading cards. I got some Garbage Pail Kids, Batman, Batman Returns, Terminator II, Jurassic Park, and Batman Forever. Let's start off with some Garbage Pail Kids. This is from the 5th series, which would have been in 1986. So Garbage Pail Kids were some of my favorite things back in the 80s. There was a lot of cool cards that I can remember. And then they always came with a stick of gum. So there's a 30-year-old piece of gum that's stuck to the back of this card here. And I don't think I'm going to try to eat this. Yeah, it's kind of stuck to that card good. Jeez. So it was stuck to the card so good it ripped off some of the paper here. That's unfortunate. Let's take a look at the cards. First up, we got Zeke Freak. So his face is ripped off and he's got 3 eyeballs there looking at his own face. And he's got maggots crawling out the side of his head. Next up, we got Mosquito. So there's a big giant mosquito drawing blood out of the side of his head. And he's got blood dripping down and tears running down his face. Blue Boy George. So I'm assuming they're making fun of Boy George. Bud Buggy. So it looks like he's got a hopped up stroller with a big engine. He's got some eyes bulging out with a giant tongue and some crazy hair. Clark Kent. So this is obviously making fun of Clark Kent from Superman. On his shirt it says GPK. I'm assuming that stands for Garbage Pail Kid. And he's holding comics in each hand that say Super Comics. And he's also got a pair of glasses and a bunch of pimples on his face with some snot running down his nose. So that's a pretty good card. I like this one. Next up, we got some Batman trading cards. So these are from 1989, from the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton. So there's also a stick of gum inside here that looks pretty gross. It's stained the wax paper here. And it looks like it's got some black dots going on it. That looks pretty appetizing. Alright, so the first card is Batman, holding his fists up. And looks like this is actually a sticker. It says you can peel it back, so that's cool. Next up is the Joker's secret weapon. So this is a shot from the movie where he pulls out the giant pistol. He who laughs last. So this is the end of the movie where Joker falls off the building, and I believe he has some sort of device that keeps laughing over and over again that's attached to his body. Dark Knight Detective. So it's a shot of Batman in front of the Batmobile. That's a pretty cool picture. Love that Joker. So it looks like he's inside some sort of shopping store, and I don't remember what scene this is in the movie. Now let's take a look at a pack of Batman Returns cards. And these are from 1991. So this first card features Catwoman and her boss Max. Earlier in the movie, he throws her out the window and she falls to her death and begins her second life as Catwoman. And here's a really cool picture of Batman at Arctic World. And here's a cool shot of the Penguin with his top hat and his gnarly looking teeth and eyes. This card here shows Penguin having a speech to all his followers. Here is Batman getting ready to use his grappling gun. And here's a look at the Penguin right after he jumps off the bridge. Now let's take a look at some Terminator 2 cards. Here's John, Sarah, and Dyson, and I believe they're at Cyberdyne getting ready to destroy all evidence that has to do with Skynet. Hasta la vista, baby. So this is the scene where he's getting ready to shoot the T-1000, and he breaks into about 1,000 little pieces, and then he melts back together. Terminator sews up Sarah's wound. So this is right after she escapes the mental hospital, and she's got that wound on her back after getting stabbed by the T-1000 inside the elevator. Exiting the parking garage. So I believe this is in the beginning when they're leaving the mall, and they're both trying to track down John Connor, and he's trying to get to him first so the T-1000 doesn't kill him. I'll be back, Terminator says again. So this card shows a shot of John Connor or Edward Furlong and the director James Cameron. Terminator carries roses for his date. So this is a picture of Terminator carrying a box of roses, and inside this box of roses he has a shotgun that he uses to shoot the T-1000 when they both confront John Connor at the same time. So right here we got John Connor riding the dirt bike, and right behind him you got the T-1000 driving that semi, trying to run John over. So this is right at the end of Terminator 2 when he gets shot with that grenade explosive, and this is right before he falls into the molten metal. Are you afraid? So this is right at the very end of the movie. So the Terminator is saying bye to John Connor, and he's getting ready to grab the chain and go into the molten metal. Next up, we got some Jurassic Park cards. So we got 8 movie cards and 1 sticker. So here is the sticker. Tyrannosaurus Rex, biological hazard, authorized personnel only. Here's a picture of John Hammond, the creator of Jurassic Park in the movie. The Art of Crash, Stan Winston Studio subset. So this is some concept art of Brachiosaurus. Raptor Patrol. So right here they're trying to hunt down one of the raptors that got loose. And last up, I got a pack of Batman Forever cards. Full Moon Rising. So this is the Riddler. And Jim Carrey did play the Riddler in this movie. So these cards kind of have a metallic hologram finish to them. Looks pretty neat. Target Ahead. So here's Batman and Robin getting ready to go on a chase. And this has got a really cool reflective surface. That looks really neat. Forever Marked. So here is the Batman suit and Val Kilmer. Teamwork. So here's Batman and Robin working together. And this is a really cool looking card. Night Watch. So we got Batman watching over somebody there. Double or Nothing. So we got Batman and Two-Face. High and Mighty. So another picture of the Riddler with Batman dropping down up above. Enigma. So this is the Riddler before he becomes the Riddler. And here's what he looks like after becoming the Riddler. Okay, well that's it for all the toys that I collected at the 5280 store in Denver, Colorado. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, if you could, hit that like button and please subscribe. And have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.